Would you rather be? Evil or punctual? Hello, audience. I will point that question to you. Which would you rather be, evil or punctual?
Hi, people, and welcome to Green Cow. I tried to start on time today.
Excuse me. You were unhelpful when I was asking for ideas, so I don't know. He said that he was punctual, but he's evil. I said he's evil. He said at least he's punctual. I said, what should you rather be, evil or punctual?
Hey, Mark.
Hi, Mark. How are you? All right, everybody. Good afternoon, not morning. It's afternoon, and we are here.
So if you're here watching a replay, put in the hashtag replay. If you're here live, say hi or hit the little heart button
or
a whole bunch
button,
of times.
Like button. We need some more new buttons. I bet Mark has some good ideas for what fun new buttons we might want to include. So yeah, if you're here, tell us hi. Let us know some good news, things that you've got going on. Piece of good news in your own life. Piece of good news that you've just seen happening. Somebody left a comment, but I don't know who you are. So, hey, that's Kason. Good morning. And it actually is morning where he is because he's in California. So, it's afternoon over here.
Yeah. I must not be in the right place.
You're probably on the page. That's okay. That's all right. Everything's coming up here.
Everything's coming up roses.
I think we know how to push buttons. Well, each other's just a little bit. Tess is watching. Hi, Tessa. She's keeping William for me right now, so I'm assuming she's entertained. Not by us, by him.
It's a beautiful day in Chicagoland. It's sunny and it's almost warm.
It's 62, I believe, right now, and it's supposed to get up to 64 today. So it is going to be a nice day, and it's supposed to stay fairly nice for a while, I think. So cool. There'll be some opportunities to do some cool stuff and get outside and do awesome things. Christopher is here. Christopher Kaysen. I hope
you're
doing
feeling
better.
Well. Yeah, I know you had some challenges recently.
I know you were sick, and so was I. So I was feeling for you. Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll be able to get out in the outside where there's some fresh air and
get out in the outside.
In the outside. It's really getting out inside.
Okay, everybody, get out in the outside.
Shut up. You're the one that wanted to write goblins in the description. All right. So Christopher is out of the hospital. It's good to hear that. Brandon says it's a beautiful day in Cincinnati. So that's wonderful. Well, thanks everybody for watching. So it's Mindset Monday.
It is Mindset Monday.
Yeah, so we have something we're going to talk about here in a little bit, but if you guys have a Mindset Monday tip for us, we would love to hear that as well. So go ahead and drop that in the comments.
Only spend time with positive people.
Excuse me. Don't spend time with really weird people. There's your tip for the day, folks.
I don't know about that.
Oh, goodness. All right. So, yes, if you have a tip for Mindset Monday, we would love to hear it. We're going to talk about some of our thoughts and observations as well. Kason says, I'm remembering to love myself fully this morning. Listening to I Am Light by India Ari on repeat. Has had a couple weeks of darkness, but he's here working on art and music and making an Etsy account. So that's cool. And applying for a job. And I saw the other day you had a fan submit some fan art. So that's cool. It's always nice to get fun things like that. That was really cool too. Christopher says spend time with weird positive people. So at least you get one of those. No, I would say that you're definitely a weird positive person. All right, cool. Well, we would love to hear your mindset tips and good things that are going on. And so we wanted to talk a little bit today about some mindset thoughts. So our topic for the day is focus, and but not necessarily the kind that you got in trouble for not having while in math class.
Okay, I think it's the same kind. It's focus as a tool.
Yeah.
To change whatever is not quite what you'd like it to be. Like you wake up and you're not thrilled to start a new day.
Or you're sick, like, Christopher had some rough times with some sickness going on. Kason mentioned having some dark times, some challenging things going on. Sometimes there are those things that we can't always control. Just things that are going on, whether it's a physical illness or just an environment kind of thing. My son right now is in between daycares, and that's not super fun for me. I like it when I know exactly what we're doing or going. So sometimes there can be those kinds of things too, where you just end up in it's a challenging time, whether it's just you don't feel really positive when you wake up, or it's a physical illness, or it's a situational thing, or you have a lot of frogs you have to eat.
Yeah, could be a combination of several of those factors too. So what do you do?
I think Kason's calling out my ADHD, but that's really cool, guys. It happens. That's why I have him.
Thank you, Kason.
I fully resemble the ADHD remark. So
yes, you do. We're so thankful.
Go away. All right. So what do you do if that's the case? And what are some tools that can help you with that? I think we've talked about some of that before here. We've talked about things like changing your environment, being around certain people. Those are good things. But so today we want to talk about focus as a tool.
Right.
So what does that mean?
Well, it means you probably know what you're supposed to be doing today or what you'd like to accomplish today. And if you use focus as a tool to zoom in on those things, you can kind of avoid some of that negativity.
Yeah. True. So, I kind of take this into the mind wandering kind of thing. Whereas it can be a good thing sometimes to let your mind wander, to imagine things and to
absolutely. We don't want to stifle creativity. So if it's time to be creative, be creative.
Sure. But if it's a day when you're having challenges, one of the tools that I use is to specifically identify and stop that, because as we've mentioned before, how sometimes when we are focused on negative things, our mind tends to find more negative things.
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't just tend to, it will.
And Stacy has mentioned that before. I don't think she's on right now, but if you're here on the replay, Stacy, say hi and let us know what you know about that. Stacy's a therapist, so she knows a lot about how the brain works, and that's really cool. But one of the things is that our brain tends to gravitate towards the same kind of thing. So, if we're experiencing a lot of negative stuff, then our brain can kind of zone in on that. And so if you're already having a day that's negative for whatever reason, you're not feeling well, or you have a really big challenge, or you have a situation like environment issue, or you're just not somewhere where you're really comfortable, or you're just feeling down, letting your mind wander without any kind of restraint on that day is probably not a great idea.
No, if you're going to let your mind wander, be in a positive vibration, be in a happy place. Then let your mind wander all you want. But when you're in a negative vibration and you know it, things are just, everything is dragging you down. That's not a good time to just let your mind wander.
Sure. And so those are sort of the times when I tend to use focus to like create a list and just try to do those things. Like, these are the things that I have to do. And what I've kind of found is true about me is, and this is part of the ADHD thing too, is that when I can like zone in on an actual task, then I will be fully focused on that task, especially if it's a task that I know how to do. It's not something where there's a whole lot of creativity involved, but maybe more of just sort of like a puzzle kind of thing that I have to figure out. And I generally know the steps. So not too menial that I don't have to think at all, because that encourages me to maybe start wandering, but not too, where I have to be super creative, but maybe just something, I know how to do the steps, I know how to do this thing, but I have to do some figuring out. And if I can get into that, it'll keep my mind from doing any of the wandering, because my mind is 100% focused on figuring out the task.
Sure. So does anybody else have another tool? Focus, I think, is a good tool for probably most people. But if you have some other little routine that you use to stop the negativity and to focus on what you should be doing, let us know that. That would be interesting. I'm sure the group members would be happy to know all the tips and tricks in that department that they can learn.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it actually does even come back to focus, like a lot of other tips and tricks, because it's just getting your mind on something else. So I have a challenging kid. Well, I have 3 challenging kids, because every kid's challenging.
I just have a challenging partner.
You know what? I wasn't even talking about you, and then you just go on and put yourself right into the situation. I have one kid that has particular challenges with negativity. And so when she was a little younger, one of the things that I did around fall was I would like take her outside, and it was like, before you're allowed back in, you have to jump in 8 piles of leaves. I was like, it's like required. I'm counting, like there's 1.
Okay, that's good.
And so I think sometimes, again, it was just that I need to get out of the situation, and sometimes getting outside, especially when it's nice, is a great way to get out of that situation, get out of the environment that you're in, and put your focus, on something else and a different environment.
Yeah, I'm with that 100%. And it doesn't take much to do that. It could be just walking outside for a minute, and
sure,
you don't even have to jump in a pile of leaves.
But you should. Unless it's your neighbor's leaves and they like expressly ask you to stop.
So
I'm going to recommend not doing that.
Mark mentioned self-accountability. You can get off focus without realizing it. To maintain productivity, I create daily and weekly tasks to hold myself accountable. Absolutely. So we should know what it is that we should be working on. And so having those lists are great. Self-accountability, if you're disciplined enough to actually do it, I'm with you on that. Having some other system or person or something like that to hold you accountable, even if it's just somebody texting you saying, hey, are you doing what you're supposed to be doing right now?
That's also called annoying.
Yeah. But maybe that's the change of atmosphere that you need.
Not
right
like you do that at all, ever.
I don't do that.
You do that sometimes.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I would say too, I think for me, making those lists, even though I like to put just about everything on the list, and I have different kind of categories where I put different things, and then I organize them, into those categories. So like I'll just have a one to-do list, and then I'll organize it into categories. And
I do something similar.
It's kind of exhausting. I mean, it's not exhausting. It's time consuming. But when I'm done doing that, I feel so much better. Like I actually know what I need to do, and instead of just trying to keep things in my brain, because there's a lot of energy that goes to trying to not forget something.
That should never happen.
Yeah, so
You have a list
put it
for,
on
for that purpose,
in the
just so you
category.
don't have to keep it in your head. Just, I know I've mentioned this before. If you do create to-do lists, make sure that at least part of your to-do list has important tasks on it, not
so
just urgent ones.
Mark just texted me, are you doing what you're supposed to be doing right now? Mark, I'm about to put you in the same category as him, and I don't think that's category you want to be in. I'm just letting you know. Oh, nice one. All right. So Christopher says gamify the accountability system. That's something that I'd love to hear more about what that means to you. What that means to me is that there's some sort of a achievement you're working toward or a reward that you give yourself.
And there should always be rewards that you give yourself when you accomplish things.
Mhm.
That's an important thing. That came up in the conversation recently. I don't remember where it was, but yeah, when you accomplish a task it doesn't have to be sizable, it doesn't have to be a huge task, but take time to acknowledge your success and have a little celebration, even if it's just go and get a cup of coffee or something. Except don't go to, never mind.
All right, whatever. So I would want to say too, if you find that you're consistently not getting done what you need to get done, that's not a failure on your part as far as getting things done. It just means that your system needs reworking. So if you every single day you plan to do certain things and you don't get them done, then it probably means that you are either trying to get too much done or you are not scheduling things right or something like that. You just need to rework your system, especially if you realize you've gotten things done every day, but you're just not ever making it to that point where you think that you're supposed to be at. It means that
you suggesting maybe they're not getting the important tasks done?
Yeah, it could be that you're not getting the important tasks done, or you're not setting reachable goals for the day. You're trying to do too much, or you're under, like for me, you and I have discussed my inability to realize the actual time it takes to do something. Which, by the way, is not just me, because Jackie posted about that the other day, and I was like, see?
Well, that helps a lot, doesn't it? She did that too, so I'm okay.
It really is an ADHD thing, though, where the time is not.
I get that.
So
you have a watch?
Yeah, that's the thing, is that that's how I started trying to solve that problem, is by actually timing how long it took me to get certain tasks done, and then recording that so that I would plan adequately.
So how long did you do that?
It depends on the thing. So I'm actually doing that right now for some of the stuff I do routinely for Morley Career.
Did you learn something from it?
Yeah, I did learn something from it. I did learn that I was taking a lot more time than I thought I was going to be taking, but also that I got distracted a lot. And I realized that there were some situations where I'm going to get distracted a lot, and I can't really change that. So for example, if I have sick kids and I have to work from home, I am going to get distracted a lot. So there's two things that I could do. I could either choose not to work at all during that time, which would be fine if I can make that choice, but not always. Or sometimes I just feel like I'm going to have a little bit of downtime and I want to try to use it well. Or I can plan for that. So like if I'm going to be in an environment that I know that I'm likely to get distracted on my time block for that day, I'm only going to, if I think I could get 4 things done, I'm going to put 2 on that time block, because I already know that like I'm in an environment where I'm probably going to get distracted. So even though I technically have, enough time to get 4 things done, I bet those distractions are going to happen. So I'm only going to schedule 2 things.
Okay, whatever works. We're all different, and we all need to develop systems that work for us. And so my system is not going to be the same as your system,
Well,
and
you
that's
could just
okay.
come get the little people that distract me. If you
I
want.
have a suggestion here. So Carol writes that Post-it notes stapled to the strap of my purse helps her. I'm thinking maybe you just staple them to your head.
I use Post-it notes too, by the way. I use Post-it notes because I like to put everything that every time I think of something I need to do, I don't want to have to find the place to put it right then. So I don't want to, like I said, I have different categories for different things. So like some things will go in a calendar and some things will go, in a document of ideas, and some things will go, somewhere else. But I don't want to sit down and open all of the documents right now. So I put everything in a Post-it note, and then I've scheduled time to go through the Post-it notes. And what's really cool is I got some of this from Mark. So Mark talks about his whole systemize, supersize, that kind of thing. But the idea is to kind of come up with a system and then to be able to automate it and delegate it. And I'm not exactly sure what order he puts them in, but I'm sure he can do that for us. I've actually been working on creating a system, and I have found someone who's going to try to put those things, take care of that for me. Because the biggest challenge for me was sitting down and putting those things in their buckets for 45 minutes every day. And I felt like I don't really need to do this. If I just put them on different colors, I can give those to someone else and they can put them in the buckets. They can sit there and put them on the things. And so I'm working on that right now, and that's pretty cool. So I think Mark shared it there. Systemize, automate, delegate. Yeah. So
Question for you, Don. I see that you make a to-do list in your planner each day, and then you started setting a calendar with reminders for specific appointments. Do you do that at the beginning of the day or at the end of the previous day? Just want to know.
Casey says,
Kaysen,
at the end, Kaysen has to go. All right, Kaysen, it was so nice to have you here.
Make it a great day, Kaysen.
Yes, I know we usually go live way before he's up, probably, because he's over there in California.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So, that's a good question for Don. And Kaysen also uses a handwritten agenda and planner with reminders and alarms in the phone. Yeah, so that's a system that works for him. And Matt says, of course, that someone's missing his favorite stuff, which is drinks on the beach.
That's the reward yourself for accomplishing something. That's right on the list. Should be on the list.
So what do you do? Do you do the reviewing your agenda the night before?
I try to do that the night before. And I try to kind of get a handle on the week on Sunday if I can. And it doesn't always work that way, but it doesn't take a lot of time to develop a to-do list because there's so many things to do. The important thing for me is make sure some of that list is actually important. Much of it will be routine or emergency stuff, and it happens. But yeah, you have to be moving in a direction by making sure that you have some important stuff on your list.
Sure. That's why I have like the buckets too. Barbara Carr did a thing about working on your business and working in your business and trying to schedule different times for both of those things. And that's something that I've done as well is trying to see, what things am I actually doing that are on and what are the things that I'm doing that are in. So, yeah.
Keep in mind that we have natural rhythms. Everybody's is different. And so there may be a best time for you to develop lists and things like that. I'm much more creative early in the morning than I am late at night, things like that. So pay attention to your own personal rhythm so that you're doing the best you can to do the creative work when you're most creative and do the busy work when you're not. Right. Things like that.
Yeah, like when you're in the right environment too. That's kind of where I was saying, if I'm in an environment where I know I'm going to get distracted, I'm going to try to do things that I know how to do, that are easy to do, that are easy to pick back up, not something that needs, me to be thinking about it without any disruption for an hour or more. So just setting yourself up for success. That's a big thing. Another thing that maybe is, I don't know if this applies to everybody, if it's more just like the mom kind of thing, is like finding the times when you're not really being productive and outsourcing that stuff first. So for me, it was picking up kids from school. So I am not actually with my kids or like being with my kids or doing anything valuable with my kids when I'm picking them up from school, because I'm picking them up from school. I mean,
Right.
I'm driving from A to B to C.
But you get to talk to them, have some interaction, and
not so much, really. I mean, not really. And then that was the big, like, I'm not really interacting with the kids. We're not really doing anything as far as like, you know, working on projects or doing something fun, and most of them are just asking me, when are we going to get home? Because they don't like being in the car. Now, I did have a longer trip for some of that for a while, but fortunately, hopefully it's not going to be so bad now. So that was one of them. And that's sort of why I picked that as like one of the first things that I outsourced, because if I didn't have to spend, it was like 8 hours a week that I was picking up kids, and it was just driving around. Then
seems like you could create some sort of role playing or game or something that would allow you to make that a little more quality time.
Yeah, not so much.
Not so much. Okay.
Yeah, my kids are not kids that like to be in the car, but that was the thing too, is that I found out, you know, we were driving so much because we had to do all these things in all these different areas. So trying to streamline those kinds of things. But for me, it was like finding out when are those times that I'm not actually doing anything. Like, you know, is this better? Like, is there a way to either solve this where I'm not driving so much or have someone else do that? And that was one of the first things I looked at. So yeah, I don't know if that really works for everybody or if it's just like somebody that's juggling so much. But I think if you find those areas where you're not really being productive, you know, you're doing something that's, I mean, if you're resting, that's productive. If you're doing work, that's productive. If you're doing something that you enjoy, that's productive. If you're spending time with family, friends, if you're helping other people, those are all good things. But are there things that you're doing that are none of those? So that's sometimes like the scrolling stuff too on Facebook.
Oh, yeah.
Like, are you,
Yeah,
you know,
search, don't scroll.
Right.
I learned that from my business partner.
The annoying one?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's really true though. If you can, I mean, I don't know, Matt talked about bullet journaling, which is cool. And I know that's something that's a little different, but also if you track your time it all through the day and you find that there's any time that you're doing stuff like that, where you're spending a lot of time driving and it's not productive time. I know there's lots of ways you can make driving productive time. Like me, when I'm alone, I listen to a lot of audio things in the car. So
I'm thinking it's going to be hard to journal on a bullet. That's how do you write on that bullet?
Yeah, not the point.
Oh.
That's not what bullet journaling is. You write what you want to do on the bullet, and then you shoot it, and it's done.
Awesome.
Yeah, but I think know, if you
I have no idea what bullet journaling is. So can you enlighten me?
Okay. So Matt's probably better at explaining it than I did, because it's been a long time since I've done the bullet journaling, but it's kind of where you just write down everything that you want to do or do during the day as a bullet. And then there's different symbols that you use. Like one is like done. One is like, move to tomorrow. And it's, there's kind of
that I use on
whole
my to-do
system,
list.
right? But it's sort of just where you don't have to stress out about where it goes or what it's supposed to be for. Everything's a bullet, and then you go through it and you figure out which symbol attaches to it. I don't know if I'm explaining it right. So Matt, if you want to explain it better or attach an article, that'd be awesome.
This sounds somewhat similar to what I do with my to-do list, so that's good.
Matt says best creativity comes at 5 o'clock when his wife and kids get home and everything needs to put on pause for 4 hours, and I sometimes lose my mojo. So yeah, we have those things. And again, that's where with me and the kids, things for a long time, I would get really stressed out because I would feel like I just wasn't getting anything done. I wanted to do things, but there was too much competing priorities. And so one of the things I started looking at was just like what went right in this situation, like just trying to reflect on it and find, what worked well, and then try to replicate those things. And it's getting better, but yeah, with stuff with kids is always going to be interesting. So again, that's why I try to schedule different things for when I'm going to be around the kids and when I'm not. So yeah.
Okay, thanks for that explanation, Matt, on the bullet journal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have something similar, so I'm gonna have to look that up though, just to see if I can learn something.
You're just gonna start writing things on bullets, aren't you?
Well, I don't have any bullets.
Good, because isn't that like a shortage or something like that?
I don't know. Well, we're at our.
We can write them on Nerf bullets and shoot them at each other. You know what you're supposed to do today?
I do have some of those.
That's what you were supposed to do. I'll do that with my children. I'm gonna see if that works.
So how much coffee did you have this morning?
Just a little. Just a bitch. Tiny bit.
Okay. All right. Well, everybody, thank you so much for being here today, for being part of the community, for writing notes, and you want my journaling method? Awesome.
Yeah,
okay.
Make sure you call them first so you can trademark it.
I'll call you first so you can help me trademark it.
You can't just say trademark, just like you can't just declare bankruptcy.
I declare.
From the office. Bankruptcy! You can't just say bankruptcy. I didn't say it. I declared it.
Well, everybody, again, thank you for being here. Thank you for contributing. Please continue conversations in the Serving and Succeeding group. And go on.
Yeah, and just remember too, for those of you who are like, if you're having a rough day and so your mind is tending to wander, just realize that that's not forever. It's a day. It's not a life. So, use one of these things or use something else and feel better.
And talk about it if you want. Talk about what works for you. The comments that came through today in the chat here are good, and there are people in the community who struggle with this stuff and would learn from it. They may or may not actually see this video on replay, but
they will if you share it with them.
Okay, so share it with them. You can do that?
You can do that, and on our group, you can share it with them. So.
Nice. Okay, well, go out there and make this a great day. Do something really nice for somebody else and a whole bunch of people if you have the ability to do that. And we will talk to you soon. Yes?
Right. Yep.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.